Hi, thank you for coming to our virtual college exploration for all New Jersey students. Today, you're in the webinar for the benefits of studying in the UK. If you are interested in more sessions that are going on the rest of this week and next week, you can go to www.njacac.org/virtual fair. There will be a recording at the end of this presentation so you can refer back to it, or if you've missed a couple along the way, you can also do that at www.njacac.org/virtual fair. You won't be able to you'll be able to see the presenter, but they won't be able to see you, and your microphones will be off, at least for this presentation. But you do have a Q&A button that you can ask questions, and the presenters will be happy to answer them. If they do not get to the question today, then they'll actually get it an email, and they'll be able to respond to you at a later date. So you'll have an opportunity to do that. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to our presenters.
Okay. To share my screen. Okay, hello everybody. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. Hopefully you find this session useful. We're going to go over, the benefits of studying in the UK. Myself, Ben, I'm the international officer from the University of Roehampton. We also have Will from Goldsmiths and Jay from Glasgow. So we'll be able to talk you through the benefits of studying in the UK. Be sure to ask any questions in the Q&A box as mentioned, and we will do our best to get to them at the end of the presentation. So let's get started. Okay, so firstly, I'll start with a little bit about the UK, a bit of benefits of studying internationally and why choosing the UK might be the best option for you. So if you're considering studying internationally, you might think, what are the benefits of me studying abroad outside of the US? Well, there's kind of a variety of options. I think in the UK, one of the things that's really desirable for a lot of students is the early degree specialism. So if you really know what you want to study and you know you have a passion for something and you're thinking, okay, but in that first year, I don't want to have to take a maths and an English and a chemistry and all of these varying different types of courses, and you know what you want to study, the specialism that a UK degree can offer is quite nice. You get a bit more of a tailored course that is much more focused on your subject area. Of course, the degrees are recognized globally. UK degrees are recognized around the world as one of the strongest degrees to hold, so you wouldn't struggle there. The degrees are incredibly transferable all over the world. A lot of students, surprisingly, look at the UK due to affordability. Depending on where in the UK you're studying, you might be studying for 3 years instead of 4 years. You might be studying at a reduced cost compared to US institutions. So you really, you have an opportunity to really, if you're clever and thinking about how you want to do it, and you're tight with your purse strings, there is a way to make the studying in the UK more affordable than a lot of US options. Of course, being in the UK, you're at the gateway of Europe. So you can be on within an hour's flight, you can be to, many of Europe's great capitals. So it's a great way to explore different regions, different countries, and different cultures. And of course, by moving away, by moving abroad, you gain more independence. That's both socially and academically. So you really have the opportunity to kind of have some personal growth as well. So a little bit about the UK as a whole, if you don't know much about it. The UK is a country of countries. So there are 4 countries in the UK with 4 very distinct cultures. So you have England, you have Scotland, you have Wales, and you have Northern Ireland. So, if you're considering the UK, you also kind of need to think what country you want to be in within the UK. And of course, there are other cities in the UK besides London. London often steals the limelight away from other cities when it often shouldn't. And, it's a city of, London's a great city of over 8 million people, but there's a variety of other large, mid-sized and small cities around the UK that are equally as diverse and wonderful and culturally rich as London. So, it is worth considering London, but also worth considering other places as well. There are large cities of, 500,000, 2 million people, such as Birmingham, Manchester, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Cardiff. But then you have your mid-sized cities like Brighton or Newcastle, and then your smaller cities like Winchester, Bath, Exeter, Norwich. So there's a variety of different types of environments that would suit you, whether you're looking for something more urban or perhaps something a bit more rural and off the beaten track. So yeah, when you're thinking about where to study, it's definitely worth considering. If you're thinking, okay, yeah, the UK is somewhere I want to go, but maybe have a think, do I want to be in London or somewhere else in the UK? Do I want to be in a large city or a small city? Do I want to be at a campus or do I want to be in a city? What are the transport links? What are the airports? Very importantly, what are the courses that are offered? You really want to do your research and make sure that you're choosing a course that suits what you're looking for. And of course, yeah, think about what country you want to be in, whether that's England, Scotland, Wales, or Northern Ireland. So I'm going to pass off to my colleague now. I believe Will is taking this to the benefits of studying in the UK.
Thanks, Ben. So yes, there's many benefits to getting a degree in the UK. But one thing to note is that you will either be studying in, as Ben mentioned, like England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, or in Scotland. And there is a slight difference in the systems there. So in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, we have 3-year degree programs. So Ben and I work for schools in England, for instance. And Jay, my other colleague here, works for a school in Scotland, Glasgow. So the Scottish system is actually based on, or the US system is actually based on the Scottish system of education. So it's a 4-year degree, and then we'll kind of describe the differences between those two in the next slide. So in England, you have several different options in these countries with the kind of way you want to do your degree. So generally speaking, a bachelor's degree is 3 years in length. So in the first year, you do sort of like core modules in your area of study. And then the second 2 years will be more sort of specialized, maybe undertaking some research, mixing in an internship. There's also 2 other options for you. So many schools in these countries will either offer a work placement or internship as an extra year. So you can do that internationally or in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. It's usually a much cheaper year. You'll probably get, probably, I would say 10% of the cost tuition-wise for the other years. So it doesn't really impact your bottom line, but it does make it a 4-year program. Oftentimes it's good to take advantage of these programs, however, because it might actually lead to a full-time job if you're looking to stay in the UK after you graduate. The third option, I should say, to add a 4th year on the end and possibly adding a master's. So in the UK, in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, many master's degrees are 1 year in length. So you'll actually have the opportunity to do 2 programs, a bachelor and a master's, in the same time it would take you to do just a bachelor's degree in the US. So as an example of a difference between the UK, the system in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland with 3 years, this is how the 4-year program is sort of arranged in Scotland. So whereas in the other 3 countries in the UK, you do direct entry into a program and you sort of stick with that program. So for instance, you would have 3 years of just physics. In Scotland, as you can see here, the first year you can choose 3 different subjects. So perhaps you have an interest in chemistry and astronomy as well. You're sort of unsure which one you might want to choose. Then you can whittle that down to just 2 programs in your second year. So maybe you just found out that astronomy was absolutely not for you. So now you're going to do just physics and chemistry. And then you decide in your 3rd year that physics is actually what you want to study. So then you'll do higher level courses in just physics for the last 2 years and get awarded a Bachelor of Science in Physics. So much more similar to the US system. When you're talking about getting a degree in the UK, a lot of students are curious, will this actually transfer back to the US? If I want to do a professional program like medical school or law school or get a master's, MBA, something in the United States after you finish your degree, will it transfer over? And the answer is absolutely yes. So UK degrees are recognized internationally and looked upon very favorably. Your international experience will really make you stand out. It will make your CV really interesting to people who are either recruiting for graduate programs or for potential employers. And a lot of our alumni at all of our schools will do extremely well in their fields when they come back to the US. It really also allows you to make international links. So, you know, as a personal story, I studied myself in Italy, and I ended up moving back there several years later because someone I knew offered me a job. So you always have these sort of connections when you study abroad. Passing out to my
All right, thanks, Will. Yeah, and I will be talking about affordability and finances in the United Kingdom. So Will did a great job explaining the Scottish system. So when it comes to affordability, you know, I'll tell you right now that it just beats a lot of the smaller liberal arts institutions, or if you're looking to go out of state, tuition, you know, we really do tend to be a bit more competitive in the tuition range of the field of things. You know, obviously we're not going to be like, you know, a state school, but, you know, but in terms of all the other options you're looking at, we are extremely competitive when it comes to comparing to the U.S. tuition fees. Especially even when you're in Scotland as a four-year institution, you know, we do tend to be a bit more affordable. When it comes to FAFSA, we do accept that. You know, if you can get, pretty much the rule of thumb is any money you can get to leave the U.S. to come to the UK is going to take. So we have subsidized loans, unsubsidized loans. Pell Grant will not come over. But, you know, a GI Bill is something that we recognize as well, too. If you have any outside scholarships, like the Rotary Scholarship of Chicago, Illinois, and $2,000, and you can get it to come to the UK, and we'll release the funds, we'll take that. So it's kind of done rule of thumb is that, you know, we do accept FAFSA, so any subsidized, unsubsidized loans or government loans will come over. But in terms of any of those scholarships, that's kind of for you to do your research on. When it comes to scholarships, most of the schools in the UK do offer scholarships that are available strictly for international students. I know University of Glasgow has one that's £5,000. I'm sure Roehampton and also Goldsmiths has their own, but I think most of them do offer some kind of incentive for international students to make their way across the pond. And the last 2 points, which I think are fantastic, is first of all, on your student visa, your Tier 4 visa, you are able to work up to 20 hours a week part-time, 40 hours a week full-time. So you can be a full-time worker when you're not in school. So if you decide to stay for the summer and you have a flat with your friends, or if you stay over winter break, or for, you know, whatever the case may be, where you're not in school, you can work full-time on that visa. If you are in school, you're allowed to work up to 20 hours a week, and that can be on campus or off campus. There's plenty of jobs on campus. You can stop by a career services office and find a part-time job, or if you happen to find a job at a bar or wherever, or a pub, as we would say, you're able to do that too. And then health insurance is big. I think, you know, it's about £400 a year, so about, I would say, probably like around 480 do the conversion rate. So if you times that by 4, you know, so we're looking at about $1,300 for the entire time you're in the United Kingdom, as opposed to that being, it's much more expensive to do it in the United States. Next slide. And then by the numbers, you know, this is a big thing that you can kind of see here, that, you know, in the US, you can pay as low as 50 grand for 4 years, or well over $200,000 for 4 years, depending on the university that you're looking at. But if you look at, you know, versus England or Northern Ireland or Wales, or even if you add Scotland, even though Scotland is 4 years, you know, we'll be a little bit higher than the max of $100,000 in the UK. It might be a little bit more, but I will tell you that it is still going to be a more competitively priced institution, and you're going to an internationally recognized university. You're getting an international experience, and you're leaving outside your normal bubble of the US. I think there's just so many other benefits when it comes to, for the cost of it, that you're going to get on the long run of things. And now the next thing I want to talk about is going to be accommodation in the United Kingdom. Now this is the fun one to talk about. So when it comes to accommodation, you are traditionally going to get your own room, which I know is, you know, music to your ears, right? It's something that is not used to in the U.S. You have to wait till your senior year to get that in college, but you'll start off right off the bat with your own room. And I can tell you for at least University of Glasgow, international students are guaranteed housing all 4 years, but it is not required. I would say most universities in the UK probably offer at least the first year or two available for students for accommodation on campus. But this is just like a U.S. institution, right? So if you're looking to get off campus after your freshman year because you want to live in a flat with 3 of your mates, you can do that. We don't even require you to live on campus. If you don't want to, you don't have to. It might, ease your parents to think that, you're 5,000 miles away from home, so you might want to have a roommate, or not roommate, or live on campus, but that's something that you can kind of discuss with your family later on. Most of the accommodation costs are going to be similar to the United States, probably about like $10,000 to $11,000. And then, you're lucky if you have your own ensuite bathroom, but traditionally you'll go down the hall with your shower shoes and caddy, and it gets cleaned 3 times a day, community style bathroom. And then this last point is very unique. So some offer catered meal plans, but the majority are self-catered. So I'm sure you're wondering what is self-catered, and it is what it sounds like. You are catering for yourself. So traditionally in the United Kingdom, you are going to be cooking your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner. It's not that there aren't, student unions or pubs or places to eat on campus to grab a bite to eat, or even just to eat your lunch on campus. We have areas like that, but it is more traditional for you to be able to cook for yourself, which I think is just going to be more healthier lifestyle, more going to get you ready for when you actually graduate from college and you have to start cooking for yourself. And I find that a lot of students who end up doing the self-cater option, at first it's an adjustment because you learn to make your mom's favorites, but that you catch on pretty quickly. So here comes the overview, right? I know we shot a lot of information at you guys. I'm going to try and sum it up in a few basic points. So the first thing being that, UK universities are recognized internationally across the world. So, when you graduate from any UK university, you're going to be able to take that degree all around the world, and it's going to be recognized. In Northern Ireland, England, and Wales, it's going to be shorter completion time. In Scotland, it is going to be 4 years, but it's still going to be pretty cost effective as opposed to going to a private school in the United States. Typically cheaper work permission, so you are able to work overseas, which is fantastic if you want to create some money or some revenue for yourself while you're over there to help travel costs. Healthcare is covered, which is great. And then also, we do accept the FAFSA, so any subsidized or unsubsidized loans, governmental loans, you can get to come over. We will also take. And then finally, I think being a U.S. citizen and going to the UK for school, if you come back to apply to any jobs in the U.S., I'm telling you right now, they're going to love the fact that you chose to expand your horizons, go outside your comfort zone, and really experience life in another culture, which I think you just can't beat, and you're doing it while you're young, so that's fantastic. And then I'm going to pass it back onto Ben, who's going to talk a little bit about the actual application process.
Great, thanks. So I think it is worth saying, so you've heard all this information, you go, great, I definitely want to apply. How do I go about doing this? There is a system in the UK called UCAS. This is the most common way that most students will apply to study in the UK. With UCAS, it is one online portal, which I'll talk a little bit more in detail in the next slide, but you'll be able to apply up to 5 courses, 5 different courses. So that could be 5 different universities, or 2 courses at one university and a few others from a different one. That's up to you, but you can apply directly via UCAS. There's also, depending on the university that you are interested in studying at, you can also apply direct at a lot of universities, not all of them, but a lot of universities will have a direct application to study with them. And then some will also offer the Common App as well. So there's a variety of different ways to apply. But as I mentioned, UCAS is going to be the most common way to apply. UCAS is a great tool as well. You can use this to research courses. You can find web links to universities and colleges. You can read blogs or posts from international students. You can also find open days. You can research entry requirements. And of course, you can make and track your application. Kind of the key facts about UCAS, as I mentioned, there's 5 choices that you can make, so you can choose those 5 courses. There is some choice restriction though, so if you're interested in medicine, veterinary science, dentistry, then you can only choose 4 courses. And if you're thinking you want to apply to Oxbridge, so Oxford or Cambridge, then you can only apply to one of those. You can't apply to both. There's a straight flat fee for this. So if you're only applying to one university, it's £20. If you're applying between 2 and 5, it's £25. So normally it's worth doing the 2 to 5 choices. It's an extra £5, and then you'll be able to apply to up to 5 different courses. Equal consideration if deadlines are met. And there's also, this is invisible. So, if you apply to one university, the university can't see which other universities you've chosen. So it is a private application as well. And a bit about entry requirements. So, but, what are you going to need to get into these courses? Well, UK universities are quite transparent when it comes to entry requirements. I think a lot more transparent than a lot of US institutions. Universities will publish their entry requirements directly on the web pages for programs. So if you decided you wanted to study digital media at a certain university, you could go and look at that course page on that website, and typically there will be entry requirements written there. Universities will often also have a particular US section of their website where you can see the entry requirements for students from the United States as well. You can also look at UCAS to research entry requirements. They'll post many of these. And something you do need to consider, though, for UK institutions is a personal statement. A personal statement is a really important part of the UK application process, and you'll need to be able to discuss your proficiency in the subject that you're looking to study. You'll need to explain your academic interests beyond the classroom. You want to talk about why you want to study in the UK, why you want to study that particular program, what your aspirations are, where you think that will lead you in life. That's a very important part of the application process as well. Right, so we'll quickly, with our last bit of time here before we kind of move on to questions, we can go through our, each of us can talk a bit about our universities for a few minutes. So I'll start off. As mentioned, my name is Ben. Hi, everyone. And I'm from the University of Roehampton in London. I'm based in London now, so it's a bit late for me at the moment, but we are located in Southwest London, so we are an urban campus type. We are also a public institution in the UK, but we're quite a small UK university. So we have a student population of about 8,000 students, which gives us a really unique community feel, which is really great, particularly for London universities. We have a 54-acre green parkland campus that's in a really beautiful part of Southwest London. That's a really kind of secure campus environment, but then you leave the campus gates and you can walk out, and within 15-20 minutes you can be right into central London. So it's a really, really wonderful location. We have a variety of programs, specializations such as zoology, business, creative writing, and English, journalism, psychology and counseling, film, photography, but that's only a small group of our courses. So there's a lot for you to choose from. And in terms of total cost of attendance, you'd be looking at about $38,000 per year when you're looking at tuition fees and accommodation costs. But once again, that is for 3 years. So, it is, as mentioned earlier, compared to a lot of private institutions in the US, it is quite a competitive option. In terms of entry requirements for our university, it's worth mentioning that we have, SAT and ACT are optional for the courses, except for a few courses they might ask for it, but for most of our courses it's optional. And also we have a free online application. So if you saw a course with us that you were really, excited about and wanted to apply to, you wouldn't have to go through the UCAS process with paying. You could apply directly to us for free. I am covering for my colleague Jackie right now, so her information is on the bottom of the screen there. She's based out in the US, so she'll be able to answer you in real time if you have any particular questions about Roehampton. So feel free to get in touch with her. I'll now pass off to talk about our next university, which is Goldsmiths.
Hello again. So Goldsmiths is a top-tier public research institution located in Southeast London. It's less than 10 minutes from the city center via the Overground, which is one of the transit systems in London. Our student population is about 10,000, a very diverse student body, 30% international, half our students are of color. We have a really sizable LGBTQ+ population on campus, about 15% of our student body. Our popular programs are media communications, art and design, psychology, computer science, politics and international relations, and we also have a top 10 undergraduate business program in the UK. For media and communication, art and design, we're in the top 10 in the world as well. How you apply is fully through UCAS, so that's the main option that you have. We are test optional as well, so you'll just have to have a 3.0 unweighted GPA to apply. The total cost of attendance is about $36,000 to $38,000 per year, depending on the program you choose. And one thing I will mention is that we've implemented a Green New Deal. So we are committing to 90% carbon neutrality by 2025. We are beginning to ban single-use plastics on campus. We have banned beef. We are installing solar panels on most of our buildings and have divested our endowment from fossil fuels. So hopefully all of you, if you're interested in coming to Goldsmiths, will be on board with our green initiatives. And if you have any questions, I'm based in Brooklyn, so pretty close to you, and my email address is on the screen there. So thanks so much for joining us today. And Jay is next with Glasgow.
Right. Oh, snap. I didn't, maybe not. All right, great, excellent. So hi, everybody. As Ben and Will have said, my name is Jay Shamlin. I am one of the international officers for the University of Glasgow. I recruit the Northeast and Midwest parts of the United States. We are located in Glasgow, Scotland, which is a absolutely gorgeous city. We're located in the city's West End. Glasgow is about 1 million people as a city, and Scotland is about 5 million people as a country. So fun fact, there are more sheep than there are people, but you are in the largest city, contrary to popular belief that people think Edinburgh is the largest city because it's the capital, but no, Glasgow is. We are going to be more of a suburban city. As I said, we're in the west end of the city, so we're about a 10 to 15 minute walk to the city center. It's going to be about 29,000 students total, about 18,000 undergraduates, and we're going to be about half Scottish students, half international students. Of the 29,000 students from North America, which is just Canada and the United States for us, and we consider that, about 1,100 students. Students from the United States are doing their 4 years undergrad degree, usually around 70. So, one thing I always ask let students know is, like, how international do you want to feel? We're only 2% US. So you really are going to be maybe one of the few students in the classroom who are doing their 4 years abroad over there. When it comes to applying to the University of Glasgow, we're on the Common App or using UCAS. I think UCAS is the way to go. It makes it a whole lot easier. So just use UCAS, and you just heard about it. And we require a 1280 SAT or 27 ACT, and then we require either 2 AP exams of a 4 or a 5 in relevant fields to your program, or 2 SAT subject tests of a 600 or above. When it comes to programs, we have over 400 programs that we boast at the University of Glasgow, and we have everything from medieval studies, textiles, anthropology, art history, all of humanity courses. International relations is our most popular program for students from the U.S. But then, we're part of the Russell Group rankings of research institutions in the UK, and we rank #1 for veterinary medicine, dentistry, nursing. We're #2 for computer science in the Russell Group rankings. All of our engineering programs are in the top 20. So we have students that, that really want to be. Oh, and Adam Smith, who's the founder of Monday Economics, went to Glasgow. So business is also very big at Glasgow too. So really, we have a ton of programs that you're probably able to find something that you like in the University of Glasgow. And I believe that's kind of it. And then you can see here on the screen, I have 2 other counterparts in the U.S. So Jason does the Southeast and Central region. He lives in D.C. I live in Chicago and cover the Northeast and Midwest. And then Ashley does the West Coast. So, it's great that we can cover all the time zones. And if I can get back to you, these 2 can also help me. We pretty much cover all the students in the United States. And I believe that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we have a few minutes. If anyone has any other questions, you can go ahead and type them into the question and answer, and we can try to get through them.
I'll be happy to answer Mia's question live. So we had a student that asked what schools in London are good for business, social media, marketing, and management. And I mean, I'm going to plug Goldsmiths for this, just because we, as I mentioned before, according to The Guardian, are a top 10 undergraduate business school in the UK for the past 2 years. We have an extremely good management with marketing program, and we're actually launching a business incubator on campus. So if you're looking to do, start your own business with social media management and marketing, we give a lot of grants to students for that. And about 15% of our students will start their own business within 1 year of graduation. So it's a really good business program, and also really great for media and marketing management.
I would say Roehampton as well is also great for business, particularly as well if you're looking at kind of the social media, digital marketing side of things. We have a brand new Sir David Bell building, which has some of the best kind of digital media equipment around. It's a brand new building that has some fantastic resources for you. So if you're kind of interested in that more creative side, it's definitely a great option for you as well. There's a question here about schools for astronomy. Does anyone know any good astronomy schools to either of your universities?
I think it's when it comes to these really major specific courses, I think the students are going to have to go online and do the research on their own, because I don't know we can all mention our own schools, and of course we're going to plug our own schools, but I think the best bet is for you to either talk to your college counselor or do a little bit of research online and figure out what schools are going to be, because astronomy is one I know we have it. I don't know if we're amazing for it, but I do know that's something that you should probably maybe like do a little more research on your own, on the web on your own, and figure out what schools in the UK might be great for astronomy.
I might also plug. Sorry,
go ahead.
I'm just going to jump in and plug the UCAS website, because www.ucas.com is a really great resource for you. They aggregate all possible undergraduate programs for students all over the UK. So it's a really great option to kind of do research, and you can filter by location. So if you're only looking for Scotland or only for, London schools, if you're looking for a certain size, so like large, medium, or small, suburban or urban campus, it's a really good way to kind of do your research. While I'm talking, I'll just answer, I'll type it.
Yeah, go ahead. He's answering a student's question. So when it comes to medical school, it's a very tricky process for U.S. students. I don't know if Ben wants. I can cover it, Ben, if you want me to.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay, so for us, from what I've gathered, and I've been here for about almost 2.5 years, it's very difficult for students to do medicine overseas in the from U.S. students, unless you're looking to actively live over in the United Kingdom. I don't recommend it personally. I don't think you're not saving the most, because basically what happens is when you go over school over there, you're going to have to come back and resit for your board exams over here anyway. So it's one of the things that, unless you're looking to move to the United Kingdom, I always tell students, it might not be the best fit to do medicine over there. Now, if you do that, medicine is going to be one of the more competitive programs. You're going to have to apply by October 15th of your senior year. You're going to have to take the UK version of the MCAT in high school, which is the UCAC, and it's going to get to have a certain score based on the university that you decide to go to. And then if you're invited for an interview, you have to apply to campus for an interview in February, and then from there they'll decide if you're admissible to the program. It's just one of those things where it's always a little bit more difficult. And I can tell you right now at Glasgow, we actually don't have any students in our medicine program, and we only have 18 spots available for international students. So it is an extremely competitive program, and it's just one of those things where I think if you're looking to do medicine, unless you're looking to move overseas, I don't think it's the best option in my opinion. But you can also do your own research and figure that one out.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think, and the amount, as you said, the amount of places that are available to international students can be really quite competitive. There's a question here, about access to the outdoors, hikes, backpacks from city locations. The UK has a fantastic rail network, much better than pretty much anywhere in the US. So from London or from any major city, you can get to any sort of outdoor areas, usually within an hour, to really beautiful locations. There's train stops in very rural locations in the UK and in cities. So yeah, you can get out and about really, really easily.
Yeah, and same with Glasgow. 35 minutes outside of the city is Loch Lomond, which is like the most famous loch. A loch is a lake, by the way. And there's plenty of hill walks. The UK really is, like, as an American goes over there, countryside, rolling hills. There's plenty of options for you to go and explore if you're interested in the nature side of things. Do you want me to handle this one, or you got this one, Ben? I can either one.
Yeah, I can answer this one. I think there's this question here asking about the grading system. The student has a kind of a different grading system than typical US schools. Does it make you less likely to get accepted into UK university? This is something that will kind of depend on a case-by-case basis and depend on the university that you're applying for. But I wouldn't let it put you off. UK institutions are very used to dealing with all the varying different types of qualifications from all over the world. So yeah, just I think you can often reach out to members of staff from each universities or communicate with them if you're worried, but typically you still should be fine.
And I think what the great part is that, having people like, it won't be Ben, but Jackie, myself, Will, there's people who are liaisons for North American students that go to the high schools, understand the curriculum, get APs, understand some high schools have a 100-point grading scale, a 7-point grading scale. So we understand these schools. We know how rigorous the schools are and can understand the curriculum. I think that also helps having that kind of that liaison connection there as well too. And also, if I'm being honest with you, and I know this is different from what Will just kind of said, but like a lot of UK schools at least are still very test heavy driven. So like for us, I have, you know, as I said, like we have certain ACT and SAT requirements, and if you have that, you're in. So it's not so much, we don't really worry so much about your GPA and your transcript with, but that's just that, not all, but I'd say a majority of the UK schools are going to be pretty test heavy. Oh, okay, I'll answer that. I'll answer that one privately.
So we had a student that also asked, kind of, you know, going off of what Jay just mentioned about being really test heavy, and he is correct. Like most UK schools will likely still require admissions tests, even now. So, you know, when you are looking at your application, we did have a student that asked about extracurriculars, and to be frank, like extracurriculars, if you do mention them in your application, they should kind of relate to the program you're looking to study. So for instance, if you're doing international relations or politics, like it might behoove you to mention that you do debate society or model UN. So, you know, we don't really look at extracurriculars. Sorry, I'm in Brooklyn and it's... Ben, do you want to continue?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I think, you know, yeah, it is worth mentioning your extracurriculars, but yeah, make sure you kind of link it in with your with your course. So you know, that's, as I mentioned earlier, the personal statement on your UCAS is your opportunity to sort of sell those extracurriculars that you have. Someone's asking about IGCSEs. Yeah, if you've done an IGCSE, that you can definitely use those to apply. That applies really great to the UK system. You will need more than that. You'll need some sort of higher level than that. But a lot of courses in the UK will have, for UK students, have a GCSE requirement. So you would kind of bypass some of the testing requirements, but it would depend on the university. There's a question here about extracurriculars for majors in business, social media managing. Once again, yeah, the extracurriculars, yeah, you would tie them in with your in your personal statement. So yeah, anything that you can kind of link in with that. But as mentioned, the UK is going to be a bit more test and academically based. So you want to make sure that you know the entry requirements for the course you're looking for, and make sure you meet the academic requirement before focusing on those extracurriculars, I suppose. But they are good to have.
Also, it does depend like what your high school offers, right? So like it will not be held against you if you're unable to do an extracurricular that's, you know, aligns with your major. Like not all majors have complementary extracurricular activities that exist. For instance, like astronomy might be one where there's like, I don't know how many high schools have astronomy clubs, probably close to none. So I wouldn't like be too concerned about it. But, you know, follow your passions. And if you outline your passions in your personal statement, that usually is like a really good indication that that you're, you know, kind of on the right track. We have about 2 minutes, I would say, before we have to kind of wrap up. So if there's any final questions, we can maybe take one more. And then anything else, you know, all of our email addresses will be on the presentation that will be available online, and you can reach out to us.
So I just wanted to take this time to thank all of you for attending our webinar, for Will, Jay, and Ben also for giving us some great information about the UK. After you close out of this webinar, there will be a very short 4-question survey that would appear. We would greatly appreciate if we can get your feedback. Again, if you're interested in more sessions, you can go to www.njcac.com NJACAC.org/virtual fair. And there will be a recording available from this session as well as any other sessions that you may have missed at www.njacac.org/virtual fair. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your evening.